Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Don't Wait Till Pigs Fly, a podcast for business owners by business owners who are successful and are willing to share with us their go-to tips and strategies that have helped make their business not only successful, but thrive. Today, we're talking with someone that I've had the pleasure of speaking with before. His name is Jonny Cooper, and his title is something that we all can relate to, and that's called Jonny Hates Marketing. He's a British author, a piano player, an international racing driver, and a business coach. Jonny is the founder of JonnyHatesMarketing.com. Since growing a business to 8 figures and exiting, Jonny's been supporting coaches, trainers, therapists, and consultants who are serious about building their thriving practice, changing the world, and enjoying a life of effortless abundance. His Client Attraction Blueprint program is filled with eager students every month, and he's closing in on his mission to impact the lives of 1 million professionals by 2025. Jonny's 3 pillars of effortless marketing provides a template for universal success and growth to any aspiring coaches and therapists, and he's passionate about increasing the average income across the profession. He's also the voice behind the legendary Jonny Hates Marketing Facebook group and swears that he really, really does hate marketing. So do I, Jonny. Welcome.
Well, you're very welcome. It's great to be here, Nancy, and thanks for that glowing introduction.
I tell you, so many people talk about how passionate they are about running their business. But then when we start to talk about marketing and sales, they cover their ears, they close their eyes, and they run away. It's something that we don't get, we don't understand, and we don't want to learn.
Yeah, it seems that way to some extent, doesn't it? Because it's no use setting yourself up as a coach or a therapist and doing the whole build it and they will come thing. The only people you hear about are the people who are good at marketing, aren't they? And that's quite sad, really, because you can be a combination of those two things. You can be good at what you do and bad at marketing, and sadly, we don't hear from you then. Or you can be bad at what you do and good at marketing, and they're the ones who are dangerous, aren't they?
Well, and that was exactly my thought when you were just talking there, was that the ones that we hear from, and it's really funny because I have found myself falling in step with everybody on the internet, and I hear these people talking about marketing, how you can market your business and gain hundreds of thousands of followers and clients. And then, so I follow them and I read what they're saying and what they're talking about. And I go, well, I'm already doing this. And then all of a sudden there's crickets. You don't hear anything from them. They're gone. So, how really good at what they're doing are they, marketing or otherwise?
Yeah, it's often the case, thankfully, that people who are not good at what they do get found out. But I mean, that's not always true, is it?
No, it's not. And it's only after you pay millions of dollars out to people to get their training that they wind up realizing that they're not any good at it.
I think this is part of my crusade. Part of my mission is to just be absolutely clear that I'm out to add value. I'm out to create an impact. I'm not out to fleece people. I was talking to a coach this morning who'd spent £6,500 sterling on a coaching program and got nothing out of it. It was just faced with bitter disappointment and the impossibility of getting a refund, you know. So, it's by no means universally true that people setting up themselves as coaches are qualified or able to do so. But just getting back to the marketing thing, I mean, the people in my network, the people in my community are generally pretty good at what they do. But they're just struggling to make an impact. They're struggling to attract their ideal clients in sufficient number to make a business out of it. I regularly talk with people who are, earning single figures of thousands each year. There was a lady the other week who's earned £2,000 last year, and she regards herself as a professional coach. The average coaching income around the world, incidentally, is less than 30,000. I think it was way less, to 23,000 the last time I saw a global survey. So there's definitely work to be done. A lot of these heart-centered entrepreneurs who are really good at helping people are just really poor at marketing themselves and even branding and positioning themselves, which is a kind of before marketing piece, isn't it?
So what do they do? They're and I kind of count myself in among all these people, as I think I'm pretty good at what I do.
Yeah.
But
I think you are too, Nancy.
Well, thank you. But, my question becomes, and I don't consider myself a coach. I consider myself a consultant, which is an entirely different beast,
Yeah, there's some overlap, but I get the difference.
Yeah. And I, what I like to do is I like to go in, assess the problem, see what's going on. Oh, well, you have problems with your marketing. Let me connect you with Jonny. And then my job's done. That's what I do as a consultant. I help them find their pain.
I like that. You should use that phrase more often. Definitely.
I think that's great. Yeah. But,
I'm with you there.
The question that I ask repeatedly is, when there are so many people out there that are, I could see the old town crier walking up and down the streets with his lantern, and he's calling out the news of the night, and they're saying, come and buy my program, come and buy my program. Who do you listen to?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And you know what? If that were repeated today, there'd be 50 town criers in the square all shouting at the same time. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what the internet's like. Yeah. Look, I mean, there's no magic bullet here. There's just a number of things that need to be ticked off the list. I mean, what you got to think of is this: look, your ideal client who's looking around for someone to help them or not. There might be interruption marketing required to get them to realize that they need coaching in the first place, or a consultant. But what they're going to be doing is they're going to be assessing your offer in three ways. One of three ways, right? They're either going to be saying, I'm going to deal with this person, or I'm going to work with somebody else doing something similar, or I'm going to do nothing at all. So it's one of those three things, isn't it? So you have a two-pronged competition, really. Your competition is all the other people doing what you're doing, and the client's attention as to whether they want to do it or not. So they might do nothing. They might just stay where they are, basically. And I often think about this on sales calls. And when my clients are on sales calls, the client has more to lose than they do, because when you're actually on a sales call directly with someone, you can't lose a sale because you didn't have it in the first place. You can only have a positive or neutral outcome, can't you? Be the same as you were before, or you make a sale. For the client, it can be really negative, because if they don't buy your stuff, they could stay where they are forever and just keep on getting worse, effectively. Or they could go work with somebody else who isn't as good as you. So I think an important thing to bear in mind is that you're actually competing not just against your competition, but you're competing against the client wanting to do nothing at all. So you can imagine that you need to put a sharp offer out there. Number one, to attract their attention in the first place, to make them think, I need to do something. And then number two is kind of the next level of attention you need from them, to make them think, I don't just need to do something, I need to work with this person. I need to work with Nancy. People like me work with Nancy. It ain't easy, but it's not as hard as a lot of people make out. It's about having a plan. It's about understanding what your personal brand is, what your values are, what you bring to the world that's different from anybody else. I often ask the question of a new client. I'll say to them, look, if you didn't exist, why do we have to invent you? What's missing from the world that only you can bring?
That's a fantastic question.
Yeah. Why do we have to invent you if you didn't exist? And if you can't answer that in a compelling and interesting way, then you haven't understood your personal brand at all, have you? And if there is no answer to that, however deep you dig, you're in the wrong profession, aren't you? There has to be an answer to that. There has to be something that makes you stand out from everybody else, because that's what we notice. That's what we notice, isn't it? In a field of poppies, we're going to spot the daffodil, aren't we? We're going to spot the tulip. And it's that simple and that difficult at the same time. So understanding, what your superpower is the first of my 3 pillars of client attraction. The second pillar being deciding who you're going to work with. So you can choose a client avatar. Any avatar description that starts with, oh, I work with anybody who, you're already down the pan with that, aren't you? You're in the wrong direction. You've got all your work ahead of you if that's the best thing you can do. So deciding on a client avatar. I mean, my favorite current client avatar story is about a lady in Texas I know of. She's not a client of mine, but I know of her. And she transitioned from being just a regular life coach, working with anyone for $50 an hour, to working with female sports people. And then she took on a female show jumper. And she realized that female show jumpers have a particular need for her type of mind coaching and anxiety therapy and all that kind of thing. Because not only do they worry about whether they're good enough, like most sports people do, but they worry about falling off the blooming horse and killing themselves. So with a little bit of mind work, she's able to turn an average show jumper into a winner. And she is now, after 6 to 9 months of doing this, she's the foremost performance anxiety coach for female show jumpers in the United States.
Fantastic.
Now, I just love that niche. It's such a great niching story, such a great client avatar story, because it's very specific, it's very deep, it's very easy to become the dominant force in that niche, become known as the authority, if you like. There's no room, or there isn't a lot of room for dozens of coaches for female show jumpers. The market just isn't that big. So you can easily walk straight in and dominate it if you get it right. And also, it's a really lucrative niche as well. No one spends their last $100,000 on a horse, which is what these thoroughbreds cost at least. So the idea of using that as an example is to just say, well, who could be my female show jumper? I'm a general consultant, I'm a general coach, I'm a general therapist. I've got a tool bag of all this great stuff that I can bring to the world. Who would benefit the most from that? Who is my female show jumper? Who would benefit the most from it, and who could afford to pay me as well? So it's another of those little things that just require some attention. It's not as hard as you think. Most people make it harder than it needs to be because they ask questions like, oh, what about all the other people that I'm not helping? What if I don't like that niche? Well, both those are just faulty reasoning questions, aren't they? Because for a start off, all the other people that you could help, you can still help them if you want to. I'm sure this lady who's positioned herself as the #1 performance anxiety coach for female show jumpers still works with other people who are not show jumpers. So that's fine, isn't it? That's not even a question. The other thing about what if I don't like it? Well, you can do something else, can't you? Nothing's forever. Try a niche. But by try, what we mean is do. Roll your sleeves up and do it. Be that person. Do change all your banners on all your Facebook and your LinkedIn and everything to say #1 performance anxiety coach for female show jumpers, for example. Don't let people be in any doubt when they meet you whether they're your ideal client or not, because you want to actively repel the 99% of the world who you don't want to work with, don't you? In that example, probably 99.99999% of the world are not female show jumpers. So you want to put those people off. You don't want them to contact you because they're who you deal with, aren't they? So that's the second pillar, the who, after the what you do, who it's for. The third pillar then is just putting some simple program together for how you're going to deliver. So what, who, and how. Quite a neat little 3 pillars, aren't they? Because, it pains me to see professionals like coaches and therapists working one-to-one, selling the time by the hour, no time leverage. Two things that can happen there. You bump along the bottom forever because you're not earning any money, or you get successful. Now, I think that's just as bad, because being successful doing one-to-one therapy just means that you're using up all your hours. You're not maximizing your potential on this planet. Let's crunch some numbers. Let's say you're $70 an hour for an average therapist or coach, and you've done the best you can. Your consulting room is full all week, so you've got 20 hours, let's say 20 hours of clients. The rest is just eating and breathing and admin and all the rest of it. So what's that? 20 times 7, that's $1,400 a week, isn't it? $5,600 a month. That's not very much, is it? If that's going to be your life's work, if that's the cap. So you don't want to do that. One-to-one coaching or therapy should be reserved for the VIPs who can truly afford it.
Absolutely.
And your core offering should be corralling people together into small groups. So the how you deliver is just as important as working out who it's for and what it is that you're going to do. So with those 3 pillars in place, you can kind of start marketing, can't you? Because without those 3 pillars, you've got nothing to market. You're just inflicted by the vagueness virus, aren't you?
Absolutely.
If you haven't got those 3 pillars going.
Absolutely. I'm going to stop you for a second, because one of the things
I've run out of steam anyway. It's good to interrupt me, because I've just gone forever.
Well, one of the things that you were talking about, I find absolutely fascinating, and that's your pillar number 2. I was doing a presentation in front of I think there were 15 people there yesterday. So it was by far not a large group, but it was face to face. It was real people. And it was the first time that I'd actually presented this new program that I'm doing. And it was on, for the most part, it was not only on creating a 5-year plan for what you're going to be doing, to get your business to the success point, but the first thing you have to do is figure out who your ideal client is. And I went around the room and I asked everyone in the room to tell me who they were, what they did, and who they worked with. And I got, well, I'm a skincare consultant and I work with anyone with skin. And, different things like that. And I'm going, oh God, no. One person in the whole room really nailed in and did what I was looking for. I am passionate about helping people who whatever. I work with such and such a person, and I'm going, you nailed it. You are on your way. And as a matter of fact, she has a very successful business.
No coincidence. You can always tell the ones who've nailed that stuff, because they're the ones who dress nicely. Nice makeup if they're ladies, nice smart haircuts if they're men. Yep. And they're the ones who sit back in the seat and they look chilled and relaxed.
Yep. Everyone else got really upset with me. They were fighting back. They were the whole thing about, well, if I say I'm not going to work with this person, then I'm losing all this money. And I'm going, I never said you can't work with other people, but I used the picture of I'm an archer. And if I go to shoot my bow and I want to land that arrow in the bullseye, I'm not good enough that I can do it blindfolded. I need to see. Yeah. And when you're marketing, you can market blindfolded, and you're going to land on somebody else's target. It's going to go underneath. It's going to go overhead. You're not going to get much. But if you take that blindfold off and you focus on that bullseye, you're much better apt to get the arrow in there. And the same thing, I think, is true of finding your ideal client. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. And them finding you too, because, wonderful things happen when you become absolutely clear on your ideal client avatar. people just roll up. I mean, I get DMs all day. You know, I can see one on my other screen now as we're talking, from someone who said that they hate marketing too. You know, can we be friends? You know, that kind of thing. So, you know, this clarity isn't just for your internal use when you're hunting and gathering, you know, like a pig snuffing for truffles. This is the banner over your shop that people are going to see, you know, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on your website or any of the 3 platforms within Facebook. You know, just be congruent, be absolutely clear that this is your tribe. These are the people that you deal with. What you want your ideal client to say when they see you for the first time is, this looks interesting. People like me work with Nancy. I can see that. So I'm going to jump in and here I am, you know. Now, yes, there's some direct outreach. And if you spot someone who doesn't already know you, but who looks like your ideal client, you can tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, I feel your pain. I see what you're going through. I might be able to help. Let's jump on a call and see. Yeah. And then when they check you out before they book a call, they'll go, oh, yeah, this person knows me.
Well, and I think you have to have, in whatever field, whatever industry you're in, you have to have a sense of integrity and honesty, and talking about knowing what you're doing. You know, right. I was one of those people that fought. I've trained people in getting their ideal client and their target market, but I fought it myself. And I'm going, well, I've narrowed it down. I'm only working with service providers. I don't want to deal with salespeople. I don't want to deal with people selling products. I'm only dealing, you know. About a month ago, I forced myself to sit down and start on the journey of figuring out who the heck I really wanted to work with. And it's amazing because things are now, I've decided I want to work with women who are my age or a little bit younger, who've been in business for 7 to 10 years, who are excited about growing their business. And first and foremost, they have chronic illnesses, which makes it very, very difficult to run a business on a daily basis. And I figured that out because not only do I have those issues myself, but there are a lot of women out there that do, and they don't know what to do. They feel bad about themselves if they're sick one day and can't get up and work. You know, there's all this going on. And since I've come up with that avatar, people are pouring out of the woodwork.
Yeah. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful how that happens? You know, you just need people to feel that, you know, you're someone who can help them. And, you know, nobody believes that you can work with anybody. Nobody believes that you can solve anybody's problems anytime. Nobody believes that anybody's that good. So they'll just turn away from you. They just won't believe what you're saying. But, you know, like in the example that I covered earlier, you know, if you say you're the foremost performance anxiety coach for female show jumpers, then female show jumpers are going to kind of believe that, aren't they? They're going to trust you in that because they can see that it's somebody here who works with other people like me. You know, they get people like me. So, you know, I use that example deeply now to the extent that on my program, you know, in module 3 of my program, I ask my clients to think about who is their female show jumper. You know, it's a great metaphor, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
For a deep niche, if you like.
I love it. Well,
doesn't go much deeper.
I love also the concept of, you know, you can say what makes you unique, and people are going, you know, it's really hard to pull out for whatever reason. You know, you don't want to sound like you're patting yourself on the back or whatever reason. But if you say, if I wasn't here, what would somebody need to do to build me? You know, that phrase.
Yeah. Why would they have to invent you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I picked that up from a coach of mine several years ago. I'm sure he won't mind me recycling it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. And I think that makes it easier for people to actually answer that question.
Yeah. And again, it's an area where people really haven't thought about it. So the answers are often inadequate, just like they were at your event the other day when you asked about their ideal client. If you put on the spot and somebody asks you, what makes you unique, it's really easy just to put out platitudes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm a people person. I'm very good at listening, all that kind of stuff. Well, all you're saying actually then is that you're unique just like everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm unique just like everybody else is. But that isn't what the question means, is it? The question means what differentiates you from other people. What not what you have in common. Everybody can listen. Most people are people, aren't they? There are a few sort of sociopaths out there, I guess, but most of us would answer that. Oh, I'm really good with people. Of course we are. Why wouldn't we be? We're people ourselves.
That's right.
So you've got to come up with something that's a bit better than that. Like, well, I can cure lifetime allergies within 5 minutes. That'd be a good thing. It makes you unique, wouldn't it?
I'd sign up for that one.
Exactly. Well, I actually know somebody who can do that. And in fact, he's gone one better than that. His favourite little anecdote. He's a therapist friend of mine. And he was at a wedding a couple of years back. And there was a young lady next to him, a teenager. And her eyes were streaming, her cheeks were going red. And she says, I'm going to have to leave. And he said, why? She said, the flowers in the bouquet, And he said, I'll tell you what, I'll come with you. I'll show you something. They went into a side room, and within 20 seconds, he'd cured her allergy to lilies.
Oh, wow.
And she came back in the room, and it was fine. So after all of her life with a lily allergy, he switched it off. He still won't tell me what he did, but I believe he did because I've seen him do it in other contexts. But, being able to say that when somebody says, what makes you different, what makes you special? I can switch off a lily allergy, a lifetime allergy in 20 seconds. That's what makes you different, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So make a list of those things. Make a list of those glorious talents, which is what people are going to pay you for ultimately.
I love that. And that's a different way, again, of looking at something that we all preach, but it's a way that makes sense, that makes it easy.
Sure.
I love it. Tell us a little bit more about your blueprint and about your program and how that works and how someone could get involved in it.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's the beating heart of my business. And one of the things I realized when I transitioned from being a rag-bag sort of business consultant, which I'd done for 10 years, by 2015, I was getting burnt out. I had a range of clients who weren't paying me enough and were demanding too much. And I just said to my wife, I said, look, I'm going to start firing some of these clients. We need to do something different. So I started to study some of the kind of organic, iconic coaches around the world who, seem to be making a good show of it. People like Tony Robbins and Frank Kern in the States, And what I found was common to all these hugely successful, iconic personal brands were those three pillars that I've described. They all had a very clear way of describing what it is they did. They had a clear understanding of who the client avatar was, and they'd all kind of productize their services. I'm sure you can get a one-to-one with Frank Kern or Tony Robbins. It would cost a few million, I suppose. But what brings home the bacon for them is those three pillars, and building products that they can sell to people. So, what I do in my client attraction blueprint is I show coaches and therapists how to do that for themselves, because that's what I did. And I launched the client attraction blueprint in March 2018, and I've had a monthly intake ever since. I only take a handful of people on each month, but I've filled it every single month for 20 months as of October this year. So CAB 20 launching on the 17th of October. And I'll have 4 or 5, inspired and inspiring entrepreneurs on that again. There's a couple of places still open. But what that does for me is it creates a beating heart of the business. It means that each month I know what the task is. It's a simple task to enroll 4 or 5 people on the program. There's a kind of waiting list. We've got people in the funnel who've said they'll join in November and December and January, that kind of thing. So putting that into your business, into any coaching or therapy business, just makes night and day difference. It's an evergreen program then, something that you can continually market, that speaks to your ideal client. The Client Attraction Blueprint is in 12 modules. I won't run through all 12 on this podcast, otherwise people will fall asleep. But it's broadly about the 3 pillars, getting the before marketing stuff in place. Then we have 3 weeks when we work on your program for you and with you. Create your own program, your own evergreen program to take out into the world. The rest of it, the final sort of 6 weeks, is about optimizing social media platforms to put your program out in front of people. And we use a very simple conversation-based process to create sales calls for you. So it's a kind of end-to-end operations manual, if you like, for a thriving practice, based on the blinding simplicity of one signature program that you can just roll out month after month after month. I don't know how long I'll continue with the CAB. It's been going for 20 months now, as I say, but it's continually being optimized and improved. There's an open invitation for anyone who's been on it before to join it again in the future if they want to at no extra cost. So it just feels like, as I've said, the beating heart of the business. It's a rolling snowball that's hard to stop. And anything else that I evolve in the JHM business is just going to be extra to that, basically. I've launched my subscription community last September, so it's a year old now. We've got 85 paying subscribers in that on a monthly basis. That's on a £67 a month, so it's kind of $100 in America, I think. But it's just all based on this one simple signature program. And the Client Attraction Blueprint is where I lift the hood on it and I show you how to do it for yourself.
And how does somebody, you said that you still have a couple of places available. How would somebody check it out, jump in, say, I want this, and sign up for it?
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, just reach out to me on Facebook. So you can find me in the group, in the Jonny Hates Marketing Facebook group. Obviously, it's not hard to find once you type that in. Facebook's quite generous with its search results. There's nobody yet called Sheila Hates Marketing or Norman Hates Marketing, so it's quite easy to find. And just join the group and reach out to me in a direct message and we can talk. Every applicant just goes through a quick enrollment call with me just to make sure that you're a good fit for it, make sure you're not wasting your money and my impact. And if it all works out, we can get you on really quickly. During the term of the CAB program, which lasts for 3 months, the Client Attraction Blueprint program, you actually get free membership of my private members club subscription community as well for the 3 months.
That's
so you can really immerse yourself in the whole community, and sit shoulder to shoulder with all the other people who've been through the program and are joining the program and are members of the subscription community as well. So, we just get massive engagement and impact and a real sense of community. People go through the Client Attraction Blueprint program and stay friends forever after with the other
That's
people.
A wonderful feeling, isn't it? The guys that are in my mastermind are that way, and I love it that they become, these programs allow them to really become friends and colleagues and share with each other. It's a great.
Well, I'm sure, like you, there's accountability in it, so we pair people up. We switch it around, so you pair with different people, but you get an accountability buddy for the homework assignment, for that week, to make sure that you both do it, you both hit your marks. And, all we want is everyone to be successful, a rising tide lifts all boats, as my fisherman uncle might have said.
Yes, absolutely. Well, before we close, what did we not talk about today that you have a burning need to share?
Well, for me, I think it's really important to, I know this is an old business cliche, but take a helicopter view of you and your business and ask yourself this: is what I'm doing today moving me closer to the person I want to be and the life that I want to live. And if it really, really isn't, you need to be doing something else, don't you? You need to press the reset button and do something else.
Absolutely.
Because that's ultimately all that matters. We're in business for a variety of different reasons. My drivers are freedom. So location freedom. You know, I've spent the month of September on the west coast of America, shot in between Los Angeles, Scottsdale, Arizona, Big Bear, California, back down to Los Angeles. You know, I've had an adventure for a month, and I've actually had my biggest sales month of the year whilst I've been away. So all this is because I've built in time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom that comes from that. So just to reiterate that those questions, is what I'm doing today moving me closer to the person I want to be and the life I want to lead? Perfect. If the answer to that is no, then, you know, reconsider your profession, do something else. But focus really, really deeply on making sure that that is the case. You know, if you're committed to being a coach or therapist, be the kind of coach you want to be, build the kind of life you want to be, build the kind of business that you want. You know, we only get one crack at this, you know, just to state the bleeding obvious. So it's your game, it's your rules. You know, you get to decide, don't you? You get to decide what you do. And it pains me, you know, to see people just struggling for years and years and years. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself.
Figure it out.
Figure it out or get the hell out. There you go. There's a good rhyme.
There you go. I like that. That's wonderful. Well, Jonny, we are coming to the close of our time. I want to say thank you so much. This has been an incredible talk today. I know that my listeners, I certainly hope you were writing all of this information down because it's very, very valuable information. You will be able to hear this presentation as well as all of the other great tidbits of wisdom and knowledge from successful business owners on Thursday evenings at 5 p.m. Eastern at www.don'twaittillpigsfly.com. And until we talk again, please share these podcasts with your friends and colleagues. Download them, subscribe to them. You don't want to miss any of the very, very important information that we share here with you. So until next time, get out there, be productive, and soar higher. Take care, everybody, and we will talk again soon.
See you later.